Morning and welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. I want to talk today about earthquakes, earthquake activity, and you, and how energy works, so how you may be reacting to changes on the earth. This came up for me last week when the 7.7 earthquake struck off the coast of Jamaica. So let's talk a little bit about the energy of the world around you, particularly the energy of earthquakes, or even what people call ascension symptoms. We will get into that. We will also do a quick grounding meditation with the crystal Fallon. So I'd love it if you would chime in, let us know where you're viewing from. And I'm going to try to take a couple questions here for quick intuitive readings, as well as crystal of the week. But today we're going to talk about energy, earthquakes, and you. So let's get started with just getting grounded and balanced here with Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. And as you look at this crystal, which is a very strong grounding crystal on its own, take a deep breath and bring mind, body, and spirit together and give this your time to experience being grounded and balanced and in community. So as you breathe down from the top of your head down to the bottom of your feet, just imagine a healthy energy line moving down from the top of your head, down your face, your shoulders, chest, hips, knees, and feet. And just feel it moving down, clearing out blocks and making you feel connected here. And now as you breathe up from the bottom of your feet, past your knees, hips, chest, shoulders, face, and the top of your head, just take a deep breath and welcome in this healthy energy that's helped clear out blocks so that you can be present here with all of us today. So, I want to, sorry, a little distracted here. I want to talk with you very frankly about what's happening on the planet and also how you can learn to view things without them affecting you. And one of the biggest things would be connecting to the planet. So last week, and hello Samantha, and thank all of you for, please chime in and let us know where you're calling in from today. So last week there was a 7.7 earthquake off the coast of Jamaica. This followed a number of larger earthquakes, 5 to 6 or 6.5, 6.5 earthquakes near Puerto Rico. And in fact, someone who is a member of our community chimed in and said that they were from Puerto Rico and were very upset about the movement of the earth. Okay, Samantha, thanks for asking that question, and I will take that question after we talk about this earthquake activity. So, part of the thing is, I was very upset that I knew about this earthquake before it was announced in the media here in the United States. And I didn't know about it as an earthquake, as an intuitive, although I do, but as someone who pays attention to earthquake activity. So what I'm going to suggest is that all of you, whatever country you're in, tune in to your country or the United States Geographical Service, where they have earthquake monitoring all over the world and can give you an idea of when an earthquake actually hits and where it is, so that if you're in an area where you have a major earthquake like Jamaica, where I knew that could potentially affect the United States, I called friends on the East Coast and said, hey, be prepared for this, because we need to learn how to take care of ourselves, and the information available to us in the world about when an earthquake hits and if there's a potential tsunami on the way is very important, because a larger part of our population lives near the coastline. That's one thing. The other thing is the type of earthquake this was. And I'm not trying to scare you or sound like I'm talking, weirdly. But the truth of it is, there are things that are going on the planet that some of us are aware of and are trying to help other people become more aware of. And one of those is earthquakes that occur on ley lines that are therefore ley line event earthquakes. Now, as we should know, our planet is always changing. Earthquakes are part of our planet's ability to keep itself healthy. Just like, for example, you feel tension in one part of your body and a chiropractic adjustment helps your body move more easily. Essentially, you can think of an earthquake as a chiropractic adjustment of the planet itself. But ley lines are a different thing. Ley lines, think of them as how our blood flows throughout our body. And that if a section of our blood flow gets disrupted, then that affects the entire body. Ley line activity on the planet means that there are areas on the planet where there are strong power centers where ley lines come together. And our ancestors knew this. This is where they went to these power centers and worshiped the deities that they recognized at that time. And then when subsequent religions came over, Christianity and Judaism, built churches and temples and so on top of these ley line centers, knowing that those were sources of power on the planet, so to speak. So the earth is changing, and earthquakes are part of that. And the face of our planet will look differently over time, as we see if we've studied, anthropology or looking at what scientists can tell us about the geography of the planet over time. So what I'm telling you is what is going on in the Caribbean is ley line activity that is part of the changing of the earth in our time moving forward. And I became aware of this because one of the things I do is work with the planet, literally work with the planet, and talk with it and interact with it and try to understand how it works. And that's not something I thought was even possible years ago, and it's something that I do. Other people are capable of doing this, and whether they do or not is not part of the discussion today. But ley line earthquakes are serious events, and they're not necessarily huge earthquakes. They could be a magnitude 2-point earthquake or a 4-point earthquake. The first major ley line disruption earthquake occurred on December 26, 2004 in the Indian Ocean, which, if you remember, was a major earthquake followed by a major tsunami that changed literally the face of that part of the world. That's one thing, and we can talk about this in future Facebook Lives if you're interested in it. One of the reasons I'm bringing it up today is when I posted something on Facebook, someone came back to me and said, well, I felt the earthquake for a couple days ahead of time, and how do you deal with feeling the physical symptoms? Which is a great question, and also ties in to the conversations people have about experiencing like ascension symptoms. Okay? So you'll see people say that they're tuning in to places that give them information on space weather, for example, and then they see this is happening and that's happening, and yes, I can feel it in my body, and I feel lightheaded, I have vertigo, I feel sick, I have headaches, I can't stand up straight. Just like people who feel the symptoms of earthquakes in their bodies, people who feel ascension symptoms, or who cannot go out into crowds because they say they're empaths and they feel the feelings of other people, all of which is true, but it also points to lack of good, strong energy boundaries. And that's the thing that I want you all to take away from the conversation today. Two things. One, ley line earthquakes are increasing in frequency and the face of our planet is changing. So be aware of earthquakes if you live in an area where earthquakes are common. I live in Seattle, Washington, on the west coast of the United States, and in our region we get about 1,000 earthquakes a year. 99.9% of them we don't usually feel. So there you go. You have to choose where you live and understand what the risks of the area that you live in. But you don't need to feel the symptoms of earth changes or ascension symptoms in your body. You can literally say no. And this is where a lot of people don't take their knowledge and understanding and work to keep themselves well grounded and well balanced. And I understand this because I went through this years ago. As I was coming back into my intuitive abilities, which I'd blocked off since childhood, I became very aware of earthquakes. I could give you the magnitude and the location ahead of time. Not something I was real thrilled about. It was just something that happened and I became aware of. But I could also go to places here in the Seattle area where ley lines are disrupted and literally could not stand up. I would literally fall down on the ground. Well, you can't live life like that. And you can't live your life thinking you're feeling ascension symptoms. What you can do is say, I need to be aware of this, or I don't need to be aware of this. Now, if I work with a planet, I need to know what ley line earthquakes are and where they're occurring, and I've created a system that I become aware of those without having that come into my physical body. So I'm no longer falling down and in other ways getting physically disoriented from the knowledge of the thing that it is that I'm working with. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is, if you feel an earthquake ahead of time and you feel dizzy, or you think you feel ascension symptoms as our bodies are growing and evolving, which they're always doing as the planet itself continues to evolve, right? This is not a bad thing. The earth and all of its beings that live with it are evolving. That's like, we know that even if we look at what ancient humans look like. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something to be aware of and understand. So if you are feeling those symptoms, the first thing you do is you get a spirit guide on your team who's there 24/7 and actually doing their job. Okay? So sometimes spirit guides aren't up to the task. There are spirit guides who are simply not up to the task of being present for people like you and certainly like me, who are aware of things that science says aren't even possible to be aware of. You know, the things that we do as intuitives are just things that science hasn't figured out yet. That's not my problem. My problem is helping other people become aware of how to manage these symptoms. So if you're having symptoms and you've asked your spiritual team or asked for a particular spirit guide to step forward and shield you from that so that you can be aware intellectually but not feel it in your body, work with that spirit guide. If you don't have one, or that spirit guide is simply not up to the task, and you continue to experience effects of earthquakes ahead of time, or what they call assumption symptoms, or simply overly sensitive because you're a clair-feeling oriented intuitive, then you need to call on Michael Archangel and have him replace your spiritual team, period. And he does that, and I work with him all the time on helping clients do that. And you can do that on your own. The other thing is to simply say, no, I am not available to know this information. I don't want to feel it in my body. If you don't want to know it at all, or I don't want to feel it in my body, ring a bell or some other thing so that I become aware of it, if that's what I need to grow my soul in this incarnation, if that's what I need to make my contribution to the planet. So, and then you need to work on your energy boundaries, because the largest part, people whose intuition runs towards feelings, in particular. So they say you can't go to a shopping center, you can't be out in public because you feel the feelings of other people. That's poor energy boundaries, just like feeling an earthquake ahead of time or some of these things. Those are energy boundaries that need to be strengthened and maintained. So I teach people how to do that. You can go to learnitlive.com, which is a webinar platform. Look under my name, Robin Fritz. There's a webinar series there. I also work with people privately. There are people writing books about this now. Some of those books are good and some aren't. You experiment and find out what works for you. But learn to control your energy boundaries. We all have an energy field. It was born with us. It will die with us, and its job is to keep us stable in our energy. So our energy allows us to go out and explore the world like that. It also allows the world to explore you. But other people's energy should not be coming into you. It should be coming to a place where you can recognize them without it affecting you physically. So work on your energy boundaries. So I hope that answers the questions that arose over this. And let me see what other questions are for people. Hey, Terry. Terry, thanks for the question. I'm a really lazy person and don't have a cell phone that's connected beyond just texting, because I live in an area where cell phones really aren't useful in the part of Seattle where I live in. But on my computer, I connect to the USGS, United States Geographical Service. Look it up. There's an earthquake monitoring system, and you can set the various areas for earthquakes 1 day, 7 days apart, and you'll see it all over the world. And a big red dot shows up in a place where there's an earthquake in the last 2 hours. That's how I discovered the earthquake in Jamaica last week, because I was like, well, I just heard a big earthquake. Where was it? Instead of asking my guides, I just went to USGS and found it there. So try that. And I'm sure you can put it in on your cell phone, but I don't know how to do that. Hi, Rose from Anchorage. Hey, everyone. Thanks for... Samantha got over your symptoms by listening to and the grounding meditation. Fallon is an ancient power crystal, and I know I'm talking today like someone who is like really out there. Understand that I've worked really hard over the years, and understand that the things that I know and work with other people aren't aware of and work with, and that doesn't make me better than people or worse than people. It just makes me me. This is what I signed up to do, to work with the planet, to work with multidimensional beings, which doesn't pay me. So I pay my bills through other intuitive work and writing books and articles and so on and so forth. And learning by experience. So I learned to create good energy boundaries by getting knocked down on ley lines around here in the Seattle area that were affecting me. So if I can do it, I figure anybody can. So there you go. Work on your energy boundaries if you're feeling ascension symptoms. And don't think that it's a really cool deal that you're feeling ascension symptoms, because it's not. You want to feel healthy and vibrant and do your thing in the world that pays your bills, that satisfies you, and that whatever else you do contributes to what you came here to do on the planet. And the planet needs every single one of you to be strong and healthy. So why would you want to be knocked off kilter by feeling an earthquake before it comes, or feeling ascension symptoms, or otherwise feeling things that you're not working with and don't need to be concerned with in terms of your daily life activities? Can you be aware of them? Sure. But don't experience them in your bodies. That's just not healthy. Yeah, and Terry's saying you get ear ringing, you don't always know what that means. Okay, when I decided I didn't want to feel the earthquakes in my body, I said, just tell me when it's coming. And I would hear like a bell going off, and I'd hear a number, and sometimes I would see things. So in the December 26, 2004 earthquake in the Indian Ocean, for 2 weeks before that earthquake, I'd hear a bell and I'd hear 9.0. And then I'd see something, but all I saw was this wall of white. And I had no idea what any of that meant, because it never occurred to me that an earthquake could be as big as 9.0. And people were with me when I would hear this, and instead of looking down at the ground, somebody said, if you're hearing an earthquake that's 9.0, why are you looking down instead of up? I mean, why aren't you looking down and you're looking up? I had no idea, not until I saw the pictures on the news. The wall of white was a tsunami. So I'm learning as I'm growing too, and that's been many years ago. So learn to develop strong energy boundaries and learn to understand what's going on without experiencing it in your body. So this is Humanity Healing page with Om Times Magazine. Om Times Radio is an amazing group to be connected with. Now, I want to go back to Samantha's question in the beginning, if I can read it, because scrolling isn't my thing. So, Samantha, how do you get taken seriously as a professional spiritual guide? How do you deal with the stigma? I'm interested in helping others spiritually as a profession. Great question, Samantha. Number one, intuition and healing are innately part of us, as they are with all beings on this planet and other planets, but let's just stick with ours for now. So intuition and healing are very practical skills. I'm out there teaching people how to use their intuitive and healing abilities because we're not using them in our current age. Our ancestors used those abilities. And in past life regressions, it always fascinates me when people can have a conversation with their previous self 400 years in the past, and that person doesn't blink an eye at talking to themselves in the future. And I ask, what have we missed? What have we lost? And we have lost that essential connection to our intuition and our energy healing abilities, because science and the enlightenment that focused on the brain and thinking discounts that. So when I go out in the world, Samantha, as who I am, I'm very practical. Intuition is a practical skill. I teach people how to tap into it and use it for themselves and for their businesses. And some people are going to accept it, some people are not, and it is not my problem. And it isn't your problem either. I've created a website, I do webinars, I'm writing books and articles, and I associate with people who accept me who I am, for who I am, and those who don't can go their separate ways. Because I believe in what I do, and I believe that I can help people tap into these abilities, which are really there to help save your life and guide your life in a healthier fashion. So we use our normal senses every day. We see, we feel, we touch, we smell, right? Unless, of course, those senses are impaired with, like, blindness, for example. But we use those senses every day. Our intuition and our energy healing abilities are senses that we just blocked. So I'm very practical about what I do, and what I do works. And that's all I can say. I don't consider it a stigma any more than any other profession out there. You'd be surprised how many people in business take intuition seriously and will work with someone to improve their own abilities. I don't think these abilities are spiritual. Certainly mind, body, and spirit come into play here in that, because we are a complete system, mind, body, and spirit, and we need to learn how to integrate that. And I will say that today's Facebook Live, where I'm talking about ley lines and earthquakes and ley line disruption, sounds really out there, but I think one of the things that people have said to me in the past when I've gone out and talked about having a conversation with a hurricane, what hurricanes do in the world, why they're necessary, why we need to support them, how to create a mindset of equality with all life instead of humans are central to the universe and in charge of things. People come up to me and say, wow, some of the things you say are really out there, but you're so well grounded, matter of fact about it. Now I'm going to have to think about it. So be yourself, I guess, Samantha. Be who you are in the world. Take yourself seriously, and other people will too. And I mean, there are people out there who don't believe in modern medicine. So what can I say? There are all kinds of people out there in the world. Here, Humanity Healing is a place where we can all come together. We can share ideas. Those of us who are doing Facebook Lives can be out there and supporting each other, and that's great. So there you go. That's today. I also want to give you a crystal. I love columbite. I bring this up a number of times as a crystal of the week. This is my particular piece. Columbite is what I think is here you go, the most powerful grounding and protection crystal out there. It's not easy to come by, but if you're looking to be grounded and balanced, to not feel these symptoms or earth events or whatever, if you want to work with the planet in that fashion, I'm setting up workshops for that to teach people how to do it successfully without being hurt, which can happen. But anytime you need to be grounded and balanced for anything at home or at work, black crystals are really useful for that. A lot of people like black tourmaline. It just doesn't resonate with me like columbite does. Obsidian, jet, Lemurian jade, nummite are all crystals to look at. Some can just like knock you flat, and that means it's not working with your energy right now, maybe in the future. Look at crystals online or get crystal books. I have a bunch of books on crystals because I like to look at the pictures, right? And then I go, oh, I think I want that one. So I can connect with the crystal by looking at it and seeing if that's going to work with me or not. So look for a black crystal to help you with that. And of course, clear quartz at any point is a good all-around grounding and balancing crystal. So, wow, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you have subjects you want me to cover in future Facebook Lives, this is where you find me, here on Facebook at The Practical Intuitive. That's my page. So if you like these presentations, please go like my business page, The Practical Intuitive. And like this page and the other Om Times pages, Om Times Magazine, Om Times Radio, because they're great people and they've created this place for us to come together, to share and to learn and grow together. And that's what it's all about, right? I'm also starting an online mentoring group. I meant to start it in January, but my dog got injured, sick and then injured, and I've been concentrating on his welfare over my work, because that's what you do in a family at times. But my online mentoring group will be like an hour and a half, once a month, $25 a month. And over the course of a year, we're going to teach you how to be intuitive and healer with how your intuition works, as well as a whole bunch of other subjects. And we're going to work together. We're going to share readings on each other, insights on each other. I'll do readings in each broadcast, and you're going to really work to develop your abilities, whether it's talking with animals, talking with your dead, learning how to work with your intuition in your daily life. Also, please just let me know if you have any questions. You can find my website, robinfritz.com. And I offer personal and business intuition, mediumship, animal communication, space clearing, past life and between life regression, energy healing, and soul clearing, which helps clear out blocks and get us grounded and balanced. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your comments. Let me know what else you'd like me to cover, and we'll see you here again next week. Take care.